everybody. Welcome back. And I wonder if you can think of a Bible story that goes along with a baby floating in the water in a basket. Okay. Well, think about that one. And last week, you remember, we were with Joseph and his family in Egypt. And do you remember his brothers' names? He had 11 brothers, and they were all sons of Israel. Israel's other name was Jacob. So his sons were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Benjamin. These are the sons of Israel. Okay, you remember that? Now, many years have passed, and those guys are all dead. They got old and died, but their families have grown and grown and grown. Their families are still in Egypt, but there's a new Pharaoh in town, and he's got different ideas. He doesn't remember anything about Joseph and how Joseph helped Egypt. So this Pharaoh is going to be kind of difficult, but we have um, a couple of Hebrews, Israelites, named Amram and Jochebed. Amram is the dad, and Jochebed is the mom, and they have some children. One of them is Miriam, their daughter, and one of them we're going to hear a story about today, and he is their son. So listen carefully. So that brings us to today's story. Years after Joseph has died, and the descendants of Israel are still in Egypt. They are the Israelites or the Hebrews. So here we go. A new Pharaoh ruled over Egypt, where the Israelites were living. When he saw how many Israelites there were, he became afraid of their power. He warned his people that if war came, the Israelites might side with their enemies and then leave the country. So the Egyptians forced the Israelites to become their slaves. Cruel slave masters made them build the cities of Pithom and Ramses. But despite their poor treatment, the Israelites grew stronger and more numerous. So the Egyptians brutally forced them to work even harder. There were two women who helped the Israelite women when they had their babies. They were called midwives, and their names were Shiphrah and Puah. Pharaoh called them in and ordered that if a Hebrew woman gave birth to a baby boy, they must kill it. Only if the baby was a girl could they let it live. But the midwives obeyed God rather than Pharaoh and let the baby boys live. Pharaoh called in the midwives again to ask why the baby boys were not killed. They said, "The Hebrew women give birth so quickly that by the time we get there, the baby's already born." So Pharaoh gave orders to his people that every baby boy that was born to a Hebrew must be thrown into the river Nile, and it was full of crocodiles. But there was one Hebrew man and his wife from the tribe of Levi who had a baby boy, and they hid him away from the Egyptians for 3 months. But as the baby grew older, it became harder and harder to keep him hidden. So the baby's mother came up with a plan. She'd made a basket out of papyrus leaves, covered it with tar and pitch to make it waterproof. She put the baby in the basket and carried it down to the Nile River. Her young daughter Miriam helped her. Just as she had been told by Pharaoh, she put the baby in the river Nile. But she hid the basket in tall bulrushes by the side of the river. Miriam kept watch over the baby from a distance. Pharaoh's daughter came down to the river to bathe. She spotted the basket and sent one of her attendants to fetch it. When she opened the basket, she saw the baby was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Miriam, who was watching, came up to the princess. "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" she asked. "Yes," replied the princess. Miriam ran to get her mother. The princess said, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the mother looked after her own child until he was old enough to be taken to the Pharaoh's palace, where he was brought up as the son of the Pharaoh's daughter. The Pharaoh's daughter named him Moses. It was an Egyptian word meaning drawn out. She told everyone, "I drew him out of the water."
Well, thanks for listening to our Bible story. And hey, thinking about the basket that Moses was floating in the river makes me think about weaving. Have you ever woven anything before? Some people like to weave baskets. People have woven baskets for many, many thousands of years. And that's what Moses was floating in, a basket. If you would like to try to weave, stay tuned. We're going to weave some paper.
So, these are some baskets. Baskets hold things. And people have made baskets for thousands of years. Sometimes they make them out of sticks and leaves and things, and sometimes they make them out of wood. And this one's made out of paper. This basket was made out of a type of grass, and it was colored to be different colors to make a design. So you can weave with just about anything, and you can make baskets or mats. Today we're going to start with a mat. So I'm going to fold it over this way and start making some cuts, because this is where the different pieces of the mat are going to be woven. Now when I open this out, this is ready to weave, but I need strips to weave into it. So I'm going to cut this. Notice I'm cutting the opposite direction this time because these strips are going to go this way. So sometimes this happens, but that's okay. I can just use a piece of tape and put it back together. There we go. Okay, so now that I've got a bunch of strips made, I'm going to start weaving. So it goes over and under and over and under and over and under. Makes a pattern. It went over and under and over and under. Now I'm going to push it down. Now the next strip is going to go under every time this one went over, and over every time this one went under. And that's what makes the pattern. Okay, so I'm going to push this one down. If I wanted to use different colors, that would make it pretty too. So that's an option. Okay, so let's do that. Let's add some more colors. Okay, so this one went over, under, here's over again. Over and under, over and under. Now I've got red, red, purple, and I'll do some more red. So now I've got to my last row here, and then my little mat will be done.
Some of you big kids might like to try making a real basket. It takes a lot of patience, but it might be fun to try. So click the link at the bottom of the description and try to make a basket. Good luck!